Hello, I am 36 years old this year, and my wife is 38. We met when I was a junior in college. She was a senior. We have been together since then. After 3 years of dating, we started living together. After another 3 years of cohabitation, we got married. 2 years later, my wife became pregnant. And we had a daughter. That is our life. We have quarrels. But nothing is without quarrels. We reconcile immediately, even in the midst of the quarrel. Overall, it is a typical family. After graduating from the Research Institute, I went to work. Then changed to another job and started to develop in my career. Eventually bought a beautiful house. We did a nice renovation there and then moved in. My wife, by the way, also went back to work after maternity leave. She did very well. Got a good position and started to earn good money. The combined income of the two of us is quite considerable. Overall, over time, we have everything. We bought an apartment for our daughter, bought expensive cars. I love my wife. I have never cheated on her. I don't drink, and I used to smoke until recently. Holidays are always planned together. I developed some hobbies, such as diving and mountain skiing. My wife refused to go diving. The reason is that she is afraid. But she learned to ski. This is our way of life, planning holidays. Making money, spending money according to our preferences. My wife's work is related to foreign business. She often has colleagues from abroad visiting. About a year ago, I started to notice that when these colleagues flew in, my wife stayed much longer than she did many years ago. But I didn't pay much attention. Before going to bed at night, my wife started to receive some messages through Telegram or WhatsApp. I noticed a feature. When colleagues flew in from abroad, the messages at night would not come in. A few times after she went to sleep, I checked my phone, but all messages were cleared. For example, I clearly caught the phone ringing at 23:10. After she fell asleep, I checked her phone and didn't see any message. After 7 p.m., there is no chat record. Then it is the moment of suspicion. Finally took root in my heart. She came home again at 10 p.m. I asked if you saw your lover. I have never seen such frightened eyes. But when she saw me smiling, she laughed, turned her head and said I was a fool. In addition, she sometimes flies abroad to visit her colleagues. Then one day I couldn't stand it. I installed a spy program on her mobile phone. Allows you to manage your phone through SMS commands. Or from a private office. I can record my surroundings, take pictures with the camera, and send it all to my personal account. As a result, she went on a business trip again. I came home from work in the evening and did homework with my daughter. At 10 o'clock in the evening, I put her to bed. Then I crawled into my personal spy cabinet myself. Send a command to record. 10 minutes of phone environment. 30 minutes later the recording appeared in the office. I listened and realized that she was in the room with a man. They were discussing some trivial matters of life. With laughter. I clearly began to realize there was no one else in the room. Only her and him. Then I heard the clink of glasses, her laughter. At this time my pulse was already accelerating. I sent the team to record another 20 minutes. And take photos. I got a black square. Realized that the phone was facing down. So, I sent a command to take a picture with the front camera. I got a picture. I used it to understand. The phone was on the bedside table. In the room, because I could see the wall lamp and part of the bed. Headband 15 minutes later I got another recording. Because I could see the wall lamp and part of the headband 15 minutes later I got another recording. My hands were trembling. I opened the play. It was another chat, her laughter and his laughter. In principle, I was already in a state that was hard to understand. To me, all this seemed unreal. My world collapsed in front of me. I poured myself a glass and sent the team to record for 4 hours. After that, I was just drunk. On Thursday morning, my daughter woke me up. She had to go to school. I told her she couldn't go today. Right to work. Say I am self-funded. A few days until Monday. My wife flew back on Sunday. I sat down by myself and listened to the recording for 4 hours. But I was satisfied in 40 minutes. Because at this time, I heard the voice of a woman. The woman I have lived with for 13 years. I know exactly what those voices are. At that moment, it was as if I was stabbed. I was very painful, even physically painful. I ran to the bathroom and vomited. I didn't even know which was more, a hangover or this situation. I stood under a cold shower for 20 minutes. After that, I sent my daughter to her parents. Said I would explain everything later. She called at lunchtime, sincerely asked, "Honey, how are you?" I stood silently like an idiot next to the phone. Speechless. When she asked me again, I cheered up and said everything was fine. Referring to the poor connection, I said I was sick. Will stay at home for a few days. Then sent my daughter to her grandmother's house. That day was the most difficult for me. I was looking for hell. I didn't find myself. I didn't know where to put myself, what to do. Overall, my head was too noisy. So much so that I couldn't hear my own thoughts. I sat on the sofa, roaring like a girl. Then came the anger. Then came indifference, but the more I vented my emotions, the easier it became. I just felt all these years I have cultivated her. All these things died in my heart. By the evening, I was almost emotionally dead. In the evening, I went back to my personal office. Began to send commands to my mobile phone. Sometimes I got pictures from my bag. Sometimes from my desk. The tape came back. I heard her in a restaurant. There were many people. Obviously really with his colleagues. The most interesting thing at night started. The phone on the bedside table again. The sound of him and her, just now no groaning. Then I couldn't stand it anymore and called. She answered on the 4th ring. I could hear her panting. I asked her what was going on. "Why are you breathing like that?" The elevator in the hotel was broken. I walked to my room. I talked to her for a full minute, keeping my voice calm and not trembling. It was really unbearable. Tell her I'm fine, I'm going to sleep. Good night, hang up the phone. Then I myself sent a command, quickly took a few pictures. With the front camera here. She made a mistake when she finished talking to me. She didn't put the phone on the bedside table, but put it on the bed, next to me. The front camera started sending slightly cropped, but generally understandable photos. Half of her body. The perspective is up. She is sitting on another body, the posture of a female knight. Her head is tilted back. Then the sound recording. The same familiar voice, the wife's assistant. Any husband would be very clear. What she is doing now. That was my last straw. I kept these recordings and materials. Although for some reason, she is like a completely unfamiliar person to me. At this point, finally, I didn't try to find out anything else until Sunday. Everything was already very clear. I started to think about what to do next. Divorce, scandal. What about my daughter? She is only 9 years old. In the late afternoon on Sunday, she came home and started kissing me. I shrank back. I reminded her that I was sick. I really wanted to hit her. I slept on the sofa in the study. I got up earlier than her in the morning and went to work. I can't be with her. I sat in the office like a zombie all day. Then I got up, rolled up all these notes and photos into a flash drive. Also added the video address I gave her. I went to the meeting room while working. Recorded with my mobile phone. The address includes What are you thinking? Have I been a bad husband all these years? Can you flush me down the drain like this? Well, it's almost these classic things, in these situations. Then, I went to my boss and told him I was going to take a week off. I called my wife. Told her I was going on a business trip. Today for a day. But I let my daughter. Don't pick her up from her grandmother's. Because I have a surprise for her. I'll come soon in the evening, just with a bag. I arrived, she was already packing for me. Very kind and innocent. But I saw this hypocrisy was just anger. I took my bag. Threw the flash drive on the bedside table in the bedroom. Then secretly took a taxi to the second apartment. My daughter's that. It was empty. I called a friend from there. Asked if he wanted to leave. Go somewhere abroad for a few days. He agreed. We booked tickets in the evening. Flew to Munich early in the morning. I told him everything there. We drank, walked around, and of course there were women. To be honest, I no longer feel that I owe my wife anything. I didn't answer my wife's call. I just wrote. There is a flash drive on the bedside table in the bedroom. I hope she puts it into her notebook. About half an hour later. My phone turned red with calls and messages. But I didn't even want to read anything. I don't care anymore. I turned it off. Finally we walked for another 3 days in Munich. I flew back on Saturday. After arriving, I turned on my phone. It was on for about 5 minutes. Trying to digest the number of messages she sent me. I didn't read them. So that I suddenly rolled myself up. Before entering the apartment. When I entered the apartment, it was very quiet. I put down my bag silently. Took off my clothes. Was about to go to wash my hands. She came out of the bedroom. God, I have never seen her so swollen, so messy. Her face was gone. She knelt down. Began to mutter with snot and tears. Trying to explain something to me. I asked her expressionlessly not to start the circus. Then I asked a calm question. What should we do? She pleaded with me to forgive her. She started crying, crying again. Said she was playing. She didn't understand. How she got to this point. Began to call herself a despicable person. But I found myself no longer feeling pity or anger for her. She screamed that she loves, and has always only loved me. All this just because she became greedy. And in all the days I was away. Realized that she had broken our crystal castle with her own hands. But as they say, revenge is a cold dish. I said now we are not husband and wife. Now we are just the mother and father of our daughter. We will pretend we are good. But I will live my life, and you can live your life. You are no longer my person. You are just my parenting partner. Maybe one day I will change my mind. But now, I feel sick just thinking about being close to her. By the way, I told her where I was, what I was doing. She said she understood. Willing to endure as long as possible. Well, no one cut her tongue. As a result, now we live in a house. Although to be honest, I bought another for myself. And registered it in my father's name. So if the property is divided, there will be no claims. I almost always sleep in the study. Although sometimes to see his daughter. I will sleep in the bedroom. My wife tried to hug me a few times. When I lay down in the same bed with her. But I firmly suppressed them. We have not been intimate for 6 months. She didn't tell her parents anything. Only my father knows. We agreed to go on vacation as a family every year. But now it will be separate beds. I always go out with friends. I bought my motorcycle again. Although my wife insisted. When I still respected her opinion. I sold it. I go diving in the summer. In December, I go to the mountains with friends. I have new friends. Some of them are beautiful women. I quit smoking. I exercise in the gym. I lost 10 kilograms. I have a sense of relief again. my body is starting to show. Sometimes I wonder when she will come over. Say she has had enough and leaves. Or for example, initiate a divorce, divide property. But she didn't. I always catch her eyes. You know, like the cat in Shrek. But I honestly don't care anymore. Although I can see she is trying. I am delighted in her pain. Recently, I provocatively put a pack of condoms on the office desk. To see her reaction. She came in to say something. Saw the thing on the desk. Flew out of the office like a bullet. Maybe crying. I didn't catch up with her. She still goes to work. But in fact, no longer delays. Although to be honest, I almost don't follow. One day she came over, tried to explain to me. She has severed all relations with that man. Except for business. Smiling like work. She still has to communicate with him through letters or negotiations. But she swears she doesn't even come near him now. That jerk also has a family, by the way. I told her. Her relationship with her sexual partner. It's none of my business. She can do whatever she wants. No need to return. Whether she opened her legs today or not. I myself now sometimes come back after midnight. Or leave when my daughter goes to bed. For example, from Friday to Saturday. Naturally, I won't limit myself. If I want to have sex, it will definitely happen. I come in the morning, go to sleep in the study. Or go to the bedroom if she is already there. The daily routine at home hasn't changed. I still buy the groceries I like, I know how to do it. We have a cleaner to clean. So there is no change here. I still pay for the house. She spends her money, whether she spends it or not. I don't care. As a lover's communication. We only do it for our daughter or her parents. If they come. Although I think if I tell my mother-in-law, she might strangle her in front of me. I have a good relationship with my mother-in-law. She is a smart woman. Strictly respect family values. This is undoubtedly why. Another argument for my wife not to leave. Obviously she is afraid of my mother. Because my mother will definitely ask. What happened? I won't lie. Now the only thing I send her is personal requests. Reason is necessary. To pick up a lover from the same country and city. Then she will have an assistant. And a 5-hour flight. Overall, I bite her as much as possible. I really like it. Yes, I may be a monster now. But it's a monster she created herself. You know. I'm just surprised by her persistence and patience. For me it's like a red cloth to a bull. I wonder how much more she can bear. Don't give me that. She is the mother of your child, and so on nonsense. When she gave herself to that guy. She didn't care much. 6 months of business trips. Or here in the city, open legs without considering her daughter. Or her husband. Every time I think of my armor cracking. I remember the day I learned everything. What I went through. Then I let go, and I became as hard as granite again. So this is how I live now. My daughter is good for her. We are great parents. I still do homework with her at night. Friends don't know anything about each other. Maybe when I get tired of testing her. Or realize I've had enough. I will turn off the jerk mode and sit down to talk with her. But not now. Thank you all. For taking the time to listen to today's story. If you like. Please consider liking and subscribing. If you haven't. Feel free to share your thoughts on the events in the comments below. Take care.